it going? Tuesday, I'm checking in. I ain't been on here in I feel like 2 weeks. And then again, in saying that, I look could be wrong. But you feel me? It's time to do another check in and come and chop it up with myself and mainly the folks that may catch this at any other time. You feel me? As I'm kind of just hopping on my Twitter app real fast so I can see the trending news of the day. When we send our blessings to the whole wide world, the World Wide Web, we also want to send out some love to Tiger Woods today. My boy Tiger Woods had a bad car accident today out here in LA. My boy ended up in the hospital. Um, Rollover car accident, actually. They had to use the jaws of life to get him out of there and everything. So, I mean, it was actually kind of like a little scary just knowing that that's kind of what Tiger Woods is little day. Well, y'all know Tiger Woods has been going through it. So, give me 1 second. Today is February 23rd, 2021. Crazy as hell. I remember when it was 2001, and now it's motherfucking. Like, I think the craziest shit about looking up and it being 2021, I think is it's probably expectation versus reality. And then understanding, like, that's a big ass thing in real life, like, in our world. So it's just like, looking at it and being just like, we always be talking about that shit. Like, damn, nah, we thought we was finna get flying cars and all of that stuff. And all of them crazy things. So just kind of looking at it and being like, damn, like that's fucking crazy. Because again, like the concept of expectation versus reality, though, I say that to say like, based on the technology and the shit that we got today, I wonder like how much or how far off we are from actually really being able to do some shit like that, just on like a random thought type shit, versus you feel me, realistically kind of looking at the whole thing around us and being like, no, that's just some science fiction movies type shit. Because it's just like, bro, 2021. And we ain't even got real jetpacks, like hand out what jetpack mean. Like, that's not what the fucking topic of the day is. But just food for thought. All right, so the golf superstar, the golf GOAT, was involved in a single car crash, major damage to the car. He required surgery because he had damage to both of his legs, or if not one of his legs. I did read that earlier. Multiple leg injuries. He was currently in surgery about 4 hours ago. You feel me? There was nothing salacious about the crash, no charges pending. He went off of an embankment and rolled. The investigation is just about a bad traffic accident at the moment. But that was one thing though I did see. It did look a little just like crazy, just seeing the whole setup and um, like just the way everything looked though. It's because it's odd, like just driving around, like you kind of look at it and be like, damn, like what the fuck he had going on? Just because it's like 7 in the morning, badass wreck, like. But shit happens. Ooh, the 2021 NBA All-Star Game reserves have been announced. So actually, ooh, alrighty. I'm gonna give you the All-Star starting five, and then we're gonna give you the reserves. The reservables. Jesus fucking Christ. How long do it take you to get to this? Why I'm not having anything prepared. But as time goes on, we'll have it all accurately prepared and set up. Okay, here we go. No, we go. So here we go. I'm just playing. No, we don't go. Jesus. Joel B had 50 points 4 days ago. That's ridiculous. Okay. Starters East. Kevin Durant is the number one in the leader, which is interesting because even though Kevin Durant been balling, like Kevin Durant ain't did nothing this year. This number one NBA All Star vote worthy. He just out there being KD, which is cool. KD, Bradley Beal, Joel Embiid. That's what I'm saying. Joel Embiid should have been the one in the star. So honestly, I'm gonna read it in, and what I think is just at least what they doing this year, knowing the KD hooping. Joel Embiid, Bradley Beal, KD, Kyrie, Giannis. East. The reserves for the Eastern Conference are as follows: James Harden, Zach LaVine, Nikolai Vucevic, Julius Randle, who has been hooping, word to your mama and your granny, Ben Simmons, Jason Tatum, and Jalen Brown. That's pretty good. Pretty interesting. That's a pretty interesting lineup. And then for the West, we've got LeBron James, Steph Curry, um, Nikola Jokic, um, Kawhi Leonard, and Luka Doncic, who won a popularity contest. 'Cause I don't see no way in hell somebody telling me that Luka Doncic, Mika Muka Manka Doncic, um, Luka Muka Mika Manka. I don't see no way that Luka out doing Damian Lillard right now. But as a starter, no. But on the West we got CP3, Dame Lillard, Rudy Gobert, Zion Williamson, Anthony Davis, Donovan Mitchell, and Paul George. I think over. Gonna lean probably to the East because again, the East got that balance of having James Harden and having KD and having Joel Embiid though, and that's sick with one no matter the track pass. I'm not scared. I'm not scared. I'm not scared of drugs. Not scared of drugs. Ball it up, sand it up. Hey there, we're back. We got this truck going. Cash App was trending, but I don't see why. So it doesn't look like they got anything bad going on. Yeah, Cash App just trended. California's coronavirus strain looks uh, increasingly dangerous. That's interesting. So they're saying coronavirus variant that emerged in mid 2020 and surged to become the dominant strain in California not only spreads more readily than its predecessors, but it also is associated with severe illness and deaths. So y'all telling me coronavirus is lifting weights through everybody's system that it get in? That's what I want to know too. Like, so how does that, in the grand scheme of science, like the world work, right? You think about it, like, so some shit could not be in me, and then somebody else make them sick, and then get out of their system, but somehow, in whatever dynamic and whatever way it moved, it can be stronger after having entered and exited someone's system. I always wonder, like, when you think about it, does a virus or a disease or a germ, once your body has dealt with it and fought it, it's just there. Like, how does it get? How is the strain stronger now going into some to what? That's what I'm saying. Like, what's the exit to make it more potent and more strong? Like, generally in a mass, in order to be that impactful again in case by case by case by case too. That's kind of crazy as fuck to me, honestly, because it's like it just make you wonder, like, the fuck. Okay. Okay. So this is from Charles Hill, who's a doctor apparently. The thing say, "Hi all. We and other labs in California identified a L452R spike mutation in the SARS-CoV-2 variant, 3.2, which is 25.2 cases in mid-November, early January, associated with high attack rate outbreaks in the Santa Clara County area. My bad, I'm looking at this picture. Bruh, what the fuck is this? We gonna be able to get it in there? No, 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 no. There we go. Bruh, what the fuck is that? What the fuck is that? That shit crazy. Man, what I'm telling you is the problem is they be teaching that shit in school and it don't have nothing to do with none of these graphs and shit that I'm really looking at right here. Man, what they talking about? The devil is already here. Who be doing? Who the hell is responsible for this shit these people be putting out? Okay. Oh wow. So like we said, more readily, deadly, and stronger than its predecessors. You feel me? It also evades antibodies generated by COVID-19 vaccines or prior infection, and is associated with severe illness and death. In a study that helps explain the stage dramatic surge in COVID 19 cases and deaths and portends further trouble ahead, scientists at the University of San Francisco said that clusters of mutations that characterize the homegrown strain should mark it as a variant of concern, on par with those from the United Kingdom, South America, South Africa, and Brazil. The devil is already here, as the doctor said, who led the University of San Francisco team of geneticists and epidemiologists, as well as and other scientists in a wide range of analysis of the new variant, which they call B dub, B1, B1. I wish I wish it were different, but the science is the science. Californians, along with the rest of the country, have been bracing for the rise of a more transmittable variant from the UK known as B single. But they should know that there's a more worrisome strain that is already possibly settled in. It will account for more than 90% of the state's infections within the next month. The United Kingdom and California variants are each armed with enhanced capabilities, and the likelihood that they could be circulated in the same population rises the specter of return to spiking infections. It also opens the door for nightmare scenario that the two viruses will meet in a single person, swap their mutations, and create an even more dangerous strain of SARS-CoV-2. Well, that's kind of crazy. You feel me? We're trying to use this technology, you feel me, and read it up top and scroll, but this shit ain't working. Here we go. If I switch this phone out. That's kind of crazy. I didn't know COVID was out here today. You feel me? Meeting up like KD and Russell Westbrook. I mean, James Harden and them. Like a freaking super COVID team. That's crazy. So, in the grand scheme of things, there's more COVID on the way. I don't like this right here, though. Right here. What is your solution, boy? Journalists in Mississippi have proved that a man is not guilty after 26 years. We finna read about that. Show Mississippi Free Press. Shout out y'all. That's who got my boy out. Eddie Lee Howard, free after 26 years on death row due to faulty bite mark evidence. Neighbors of the 84-year-old Georgia Kemp of Lowndes County, Mississippi, grew concern on February 2nd, 1992, when they noticed smoke coming from her residence. Once firefighters arrived, they found Kemp's body lying in the bathroom next to a small fire in her living room. Former de facto state medical examiner Stephen Hain conducted an autopsy and concluded Kemp had been beaten, strangled, stabbed, and raped. However, Hain, who later faced controversy for the lack of American board pathology, for his lack of American board pathology certification, I guess, listed Kemp's official cause of death as 2 stab wounds to her chest. On February 7th of that year, 3 days after Kemp's burial, Hain ordered Kemp's body exhumed. Although his original autopsy did not indicate bite marks, the medical examiner then stated that there was some question that there could be some injuries inflicted by teeth. So they put my boy in the motherfucking cycle. Excuse me as I take a brief puff. So again, medical examiner Hain was relying on Michael West, at the time considered one of the leading experts in bite mark identification. West examined the body using ultraviolet light and special glasses to discover that the bite marks deemed invisible to the naked human eye, and therefore missed on the autopsy report on 3 body parts of the victim's body. Excuse me. Eddie Lee Howard lived 2 blocks from Kemp on February 8th, 1992. So this is a little bit of black history. Because in 1992, my boy got there like that. So realistically, this is actually beautiful. And now we finna really get into this motherfucking shit. Because I remember, it just take me a minute. February 23rd, Black History Facts. Bitch ass niggas. You feel me? February 8th, police arrested Howard as a suspect in Kemp's murder. District Attorney from Mississippi's 16th District, Scott Colon, bitch ass, told Mississippi Free Press that he was unaware of why Howard was originally listed as a suspect. Oh, there go my sister. Hold on.
On your head if this door was locked.
I'm recording. Nigga, hurry up, come on. What you doing? I'm supposed to do something. Okay, well, nigga, I'm in the middle of doing something. I take seriously. Thank you very much. No. Feel me? Go back.
Somebody can't.
What? Chick-fil-A talking about my kid.
Can't hold a kid.
You feel me? So, as I was, excuse me, Scott Colon don't seem too much like a bitch. He said he was unaware of why Howard was originally listed as a suspect in Kemp's murder 29 years before. But as investigators began to focus on Howard, they made a mold of his teeth and noticed a removable partial denture replacing his upper 4 front teeth. do they do that? So again, I'm finna read something crazy to just say somebody just I would now just say he did it, which with basically no proof. Like how you? That's what I'm saying, and I feel like I've said this on here before already. Now that's one of the things when it comes down to the police. Like, bro, they don't even take a morality test. None of these people take anything that have anything to do with morality. And they really just get up there and stand on the strength of the color of their skin if they say some shit, or the strength of them not being black, or the strength of again their degree and wherever the hell they got their degree from. If they are then in fact black, which it don't matter, or a minority. But again, like even this goes back to all of those. Like I think it was in Philadelphia, like about almost 10 years ago now, maybe less, when the story just came out about for like again forensic pathologists or something like that, forensic investigators, somebody they were just pinning cases on black folks in Philadelphia or some shit like that, like murders, just sending folks to jail. Similar to again, the judges that was just sending kids to juvenile and to prison on escalated sentences and stuff like that, and then keeping them in the system because they was getting paid. But it's like any old kind of thing any minorities do for them to get over that is against the law is not, or is looked at as like the worst things and the most important things to reform versus people that are literally exploiting the law, which is the same thing as breaking the law. That's what I'm saying. Like, them people did time. Let's see. We ain't here on some shit now. Bad job. Uh, Come on, Michael Conyon. Come on, this made me skip some whole other shit. Today in Black History. That nigga sure did get some time though. A federal judge upheld, this was in August, upheld the 28-year prison sentence of a disgraced Pennsylvania judge offenders while he was taking kickback from the owner and the builder of a for-profit detention center. Marcus C. Varela, a former Luzerne County juvenile court judge, had been seeking a lighter sentence after after three of the 12 counts of his 2011 conviction were overturned on appeal. My boy's 70, but not legally entitled to a new sentencing hearing. To be abundantly clear, if we were authorized to reduce Varelli's sentence, we would decline to do so, wrote Connor, citing Velli's abuse of public trust. Come on, that's what I'm saying. By an elected official and the resulting harm to vulnerable juvenile victims. Refuses to acknowledge the scope, of his remaining crimes and stands convicted of taking bribes with his bitch ass. Man, come on. They accepted 22.8 million in illegal payments. $2.8, and they got all them little kids in the gate. Oh my gosh. Dude, and this is just in Pennsylvania. Just in Pennsylvania. Just in Pennsylvania. Because again, there's plenty of other places and spaces and states where this shit is fucking happening. Pennsylvania Supreme Court threw out some 4,000 juvenile convictions. And again, think about it. It's still a whole bunch of people who then went up and then did other shit, got in gangs in jail and all kinds of like. Think about how that just skews your whole life path. Cause now you in survival mode. That shit crazy as fuck. Let's see. Now we're looking for the Indian forensic scientist who was bringing folks. Come on, this shit say 20,000. Massachusetts and Pennsylvania is big fucked up. Bro, when did this article come out? This shit came out in 2017. So again, we hella far away from this now. I mean, what is that? 4 years or 5 years from now? From excuse me, from now? 5 years from then? 5 years ago? Yeah. It was really like 8 or 9, almost 10 years. And she got locked up in 2013. She didn't even look remorseful. She came to court in a black leather jacket. Who done what? Man, you knew she was guilty. She didn't give a fuck. She was a chemist. Obstruction of justice and tampering with evidence. A mass dismissal of wrongful conviction, perhaps the biggest unfolded in the Boston courthouse on Tuesday as prosecutors in 7 Massachusetts counties dropped more than 21 low-level drug cases tainted by the work of a rogue lab chemist. And again, she was working with a whole bunch of people. It wasn't just her by herself. It was a whole bunch of motherfuckers. The number of corrupted convictions was so uh, unwieldy that the district attorney used compact discs to deliver lists of cases that they were dropping and those they believed they could successfully re-prosecute. Jesus Christ. I know, because they got people that was then getting out, though, because they like, man, hell no, hell yeah, she be my case too. It wasn't my crack. It wasn't my crack in my blood. Whatever the fuck she do, however the fuck she was flipping niggas' cases. Defense's lawyer held the dismissal as a triumph over the justice system. This is a mistake that comes from the war on drugs, what was Carl Williams said at the time. And she got a nice house too. She went from wearing the bootcut jeans. You knew she did that shit. Prosecutors said that they decided to re-prosecute defendants with lengthy criminal histories, exactly. But they also stressed that the abandoned cases involve people with long records and those who likely committed the offenses for which they were committed. They're trying to say she didn't really do all that shit. We know the truth. Okay, she's not Indian, she's Trinidadian. Why did it remain somewhat of a mystery? Investigators and former colleagues have said that the Trinidadian immigrant seemed driven by a compulsion to overachieve, even if it meant making things up or cutting corners. She became the lab's most prolific analyst, a record that impressed her supervisors but also worried her coworkers. a concern that went overlooked, investigators found. Prosecutors fought for a way to preserve the convictions and leave it to the defendants to challenge them. But civil rights group, damn, they said, no, we gonna leave the motherfuckers in there. If they find out about this shit, they can reach out to us and we'll talk. But civil rights groups and defense lawyers argued for all the cases to be dropped, saying that was the only way to ensure justice. And this was justice, folks. Good. SJ Dub was good with that. They said, hey, let everybody out, even the nigga who sold 100,000 crack bags in a day. Especially him, because she lying. Okay. But civil rights groups, they said they need to be dropped to ensure justice. In January, this was of 2017, I guess, or 2013, the state's high court chose its own solution, ruling that district attorneys should focus on small subset cases. It wanted to retry and drop the rest. Yeah. Well, shit, they might have everybody been help. Let's be shit out the kid. Jeez. Okay. Finish reading my little story about my boy right here. You feel me? And again, they said he emphatically did that shit. Didn't even know. Eddie Lee, damn. Eddie Lee Howard, who is now 67, was 38 at the time of his arrest. Is the father of a lifelong resident of Columbus. As a black man deemed indigent and unable to pay for representation, Howard had to rely on a court-appointed attorney for his case. District Attorney Colum says, now that prosecutors did not enter pictures or even diagrams of the bite marks into evidence, there is no documentation of the bite marks anywhere, he said in the interview. Come on. Colum said that the public and the courts were totally reliable on Dr. West's claims that there were bite marks on Kim's body. Indeed, West's testimony was the key evidence that led the jury to convict Howard. In fact, the bite mark evidence West provided was almost the sole evidence against Howard, and it was certainly the only physical evidence that links him to the offense. Professor Tucker Carrington, a professor of law at the University of Mississippi and the director of the George C. Cochran Innocence Project, said in a recent interview Carrington and the Innocence Project later provided legal representation for Howard's fight for exoneration. But in 1994, Mississippi 16th Court Judge Lee Howard, no relation, sentenced Eddie Lee Howard to die by lethal injection. Damn! At the notorious Mississippi State Penitentiary at Parchment. Jesus fucking Christ. Miss Howard's execution date was set for June 17, 1994. However, due to numerous appeals and retrials, Howard was able to postpone his original date. You're gonna talk about fighting for your fucking life. I know I wanted to move forward from this and not make this the whole episode and fucking talk about some Black history, but this shit crazy. Following Howard's verdict, investigators continue to rely on West's expertise in bite mark identification, including the 1995 case of Kennedy Brewer in Nuxby County. The murdered and raped body of Brewer's 3-year-old daughter was found in a creek. Jesus Christ. In the case, West claimed that there were bite marks on the girl's body belonging to her father. Once again, West's testimony was considered the key evidence to eventually lead to Brewer's conviction and sentence to death row. By the time Brewer's trial, West became the first person ever to be sentenced from the American Board of Forensic Odontology. Goddamn. However, the court still allowed him to testify. Damn, so he got his shit suspended and they still fuck with him. A panel of forensic experts later explained that the body and examined the body and determined that the bite marks on the child's body were not from a human bite, but instead from insects and crawfish. Jesus Christ, bro. What the fuck? That picked at the body as it was in the creek. In 2001, advanced DNA testing was done on the body and excluded Brewer from the crime. He has since been released from prison after spending more than 7 years of his life on death row for killing a child. So his time in there was tough. Following West's testimony at Howard's hearing and others' questions about his credibility and bite mark identification in general, my boy just going up there saying shit so he can keep his name up as a bite mark for others. Yes, I know a bite mark. Yes, he did it. He better. Yes, right here, here, he better. Here, he better. Don't even have to open his mouth. We know what's in there. It's 31 teeth. Excuse me. And a smaggler. That's fucked up. My boy DMX fucked up. Mm. Since the early 1990s, the Innocence Project has found and exonerated at least 28 wrongful convictions based on faulty bite mark forensics. Okay, so that's just wrongful convictions for bite marks. 28 of those. Jesus Christ. In Mississippi, Howard became at least the seventh person to be either wrongfully charged or convicted and later exonerated. Due to Dr. West's evidence after his peers accused West of ethics violations. Come on, we write it. Come on, come on. Today's episode in Black History is ethic violations and how they be doing us wrong. This is why a nigga take his chance on the street. This is why, because again, I could not do motherfucking nothing. I could be just sitting in my motherfucking house and they gonna motherfucking say that I did that shit anyway. That's crazy. This nigga was at his motherfucking house, didn't do shit. So why, at the end of the day, if I'm a young nigga out here and I'm broke and I'm trying to get some money, why would I not go and do some nonsense or join a gang or whatever? At least the niggas in the gang gonna fucking help me. But we gotta fight through that shit and find our ways to infiltrate these systems and these practices, but then infiltrate them and not lose our way and be like the judge who again, excuse me, what was the term? Ethics violations, you feel me, not fall victim to the system and then perform our own ethics violations against ourselves and our own people, like how they did my boy Meek Mill. The police beat his ass and did an ethics violation allegedly. Then the judge talking about I need you to do a Boys to Men sample on your song or I'm about to give you some more time. That's fucked up. But again, you feel me? That's why a lot of it is about the ways in which we lead the newer generations and these generations of kids that are coming up now and ourselves with our time. Because again, we know now it ain't no motherfucking excuse now. If you knew better, you would do better. But we know. So I think a lot of times it's about sharing these opportunities and these stories and these moments so that we understand that it is more out here, and there's nothing wrong with being an athlete and a musician and. But let's be a lawyer and a doctor and. Granted, I need to be figuring out which element of the former professional and my blackness fits into in a variety of ways. And I think a variety of ways auditorily, these are that. But as well, I think that's so abundantly important because again, like think about that, man. No representation. No one here to defend you. No one here to care about you. No one here to look at it a little differently. To look at your perspective and look at your situation and say, well, no, maybe he like me. Maybe he not a thug. Because again, that's what they see when they see each other a lot of times. They see each other. They look. Oh man, he was like me. I remember a time when I might have done that, but I stayed steadfast and became a lawyer. Now I'm a judge. Now I'm a cop. Well, what the fuck? Where the fuck that be at for us? It don't be there for us, and then they put us in the jail cell, and then they say, "Well, you don't want to do better." That's crazy. Crazy. You feel me? Um, was resigned from the International Association of Identification in 1993 and the American Academy of Forensic Sciences in 1994. West Bymark science has led to innocent people spending at least a combined 75 years in jail, the Innocence Project reports. We gonna fuck with the Innocence Project. We gonna start low-key pulling some shit up off the Innocence Projects all the time. The Mississippi Supreme Court decided on August 27, 2020, congratulations, Mr. Howard, to grant Howard a new trial, due largely in part to the questions about West's evidence. Why the motherfuck? Why the motherfuck? Why in the whole motherfuck did it take 26 years for them to look at this man's case and review it and give him a retrial? That's fucked up. That's fucked up. One of the things I was talking to my homies about, shout out my boy DJ, shout out to Lil Bro, shout out to all the homies out there, shout out to everybody in the streets. You feel me? And when I'm saying in the streets, everybody in the streets, we in the streets, like all of us, sitting about here trying to survive. We was riding in the car, and that's what I'm saying. Everybody in the streets, that's what I'm saying. We was riding in the car. We was coming back from working out at the beach, bro. And the police was all over and all out. They were like, damn, the police out here trying to get folks. We was just talking, and the thing that we came to and kind of just talked over for a moment is the dynamic and the idea around these systems that these people set up to manipulate and take advantage of your existence and your living. You're just trying to survive and trying to figure it out. You can't get him a reason to make money off you. And again, make money off you that way. It don't benefit you. Just take them. Think about that, man. My boy is in his 60s now. Went to jail when he was 30. in his 60s. That's crazy. Right? That's what they said, right? He's 63 now, right? How old is my boy? Let me see how far I gotta scroll back and find him. He's 67. He was 38 when he went in. Come on. Dr. West's credibility also has been destroyed since Howard's trial. In intervening years, West and his methodology has plunged to overwhelming rejection by the forensics community, to the point that today his methodology is not at all supported by the mainstream forensic odontologists. That's for people for teeth, right? Associate Justice David Ishii wrote, in a concurring option for the court. Man, this shit don't be making sense. I be feeling stupid as hell when I be reading this shit. Not just be reading it as it says. I be reading it like, what? My boy told the whole court, no, we not fucking with this shit no more. In fact, West method. Okay, so this is what. In fact, West methods are wholly contradicted and disqualified by today's American Board of Forensic Odontology guidelines. Dr. West testified that it was not possible to compute his margin of error because his craft is a subjective art and science. Oh my God. Come on. My boy up here trying to act like he's a Galileo or looking at bite marks and shit, and he throwing niggas in the pen. That's fucked up. Because again, though, I ain't never really got biting folks. I mean, niggas is crazy and they be on fuck shit and folks be getting fucked up. But biting, like, yeah, he bitter. That's the only evidence. He fucking bitter. My boy committed murder, and he just said, yeah, I'm gonna kill this dude. Bite it up. It's getting hot and sexy, and I'm gonna bite this bitch real fast. Fuck it. Excuse me, I'll take a bite. Now, granted, they saying a lot of this shit don't work because it also results around people getting exonerated. But all right. Long story short, they let my boy out. Oh no, hold on. I'm not finna close this story because right as I was finna close it, and I scrolled down some more, I just seen some nut shit, man. Hold on. We got 3 minutes left on this today's episode. Today's episode is just gonna be about this. Okay, we just gonna start here because I'm not finna just keep talking about how they did my boy dirty. They did him dirty. And they tried to keep him in it. The next section I skipped past was all about how they fought to keep him in jail. Theft, which became an official disenfranchising crime in Mississippi's racist 1890 Constitution, was used to intentionally target recently freed black men. In 2018, Senator Hob Bryan the Armory, told the Jackson Free Press, the list of crimes that's in our state's constitution was adopted in 1890 because it was thought that black people were more likely than white people to commit these crimes. Following his electoral victory in 1903, former Mississippi Governor James K. Vardaman began taking interest in Parchment and its prison population. Vardaman, also known as Great White Chief, what the fuck? Excuse me. Jeez, all this squeaking and shit. Was a white racist. Was a racist and a white supremacist born in Texas who later chose Greenwood, Mississippi as his home and base of operations. He advocated for mass lynching of blacks in order to maintain white supremacy. He also opposed black suffrage and education. In 1906, Vardaman ended Mississippi's convict leasing system, which previously allowed the state to lease mostly black prisoners to perform grueling manual labor at private facilities. How the fuck he did that? That's kind of backwards to me. It seemed like he wanted to keep us fucked up. While the leasing had been financially lucrative to the state, Vardaman sought to end the program to give state consolidated control to the ever increasing prison population and directly reap the value of their labor. Oh, so this is going to explain why they did my boy Howard like this. Vardaman saw, I guess, Parchment Prison as a solution to control what he considered to be criminal Negroes who he claimed were migrating to the state's cities, seeking a way to live without honest toil, menacing the safety of the white man's home. During his tenure as governor, Vardaman called for the closing of black schools because he believed that they should remain in economic servitude and that education was unnecessary for the kind of work that they would do. In the early years of Parchment, the state of Mississippi used unpaid and forced prison labor from a 90% black prison population to farm cotton and other crops in a plantation-esque setting for sometimes 15 hours at a time. True to Vardaman's plan, the forced labor prison camps, was in turn incredibly profitable for the Mississippi coffers, making the state the modern day equivalent of $5 million by the second full year of operation. That's our little timer. We're supposed to be getting off here. I'm in. We in it now. While Parchment Prison still stands on its original grounds, the living conditions that Howard lived through for 26 years are just as shocking as they were in the 1900s. Notorious for its health and safety violations, one prison expert called Mississippi State Penitentiary the worst jail or prison I've seen in the United States in 20 years. In the last year, inmates have leaked cell phone videos and pictures of black mold, backed up sewer lines, roof leaks. Man, what's up with KD, man? He making an all-star game and shit. This nigga ain't played in 3 weeks. My fantasy team, bitch ass boy. Because it's that hole in the top of his dome. Uh, Roof leaks and live electrical wires floating in standing water. Jesus Christ. And then on January 31st, my birthday, 2020, damn, pre-COVID tour of the prison with a congressional delegation, Representative Kareem and from Columbus, described what we saw was really, really horrific. The worst thing you could imagine was there. That's what I'm saying. That's gonna lead to niggas killing each other in that thing. They already want to do that, but it's literally so bad. It's like, man, I'm gonna fucking kill something. That's scary as fuck. Oh my god, I might not never go to Mississippi. Can't take no chances. Sometimes you can't go certain places. Jesus. Another delegation of Mississippi Penitentiary to the Mississippi Penitentiary at Parchment early last year. The suffocating stench of feces hung in the air. Blood was visible on the floor from a recent acts of violence. Water was ankle deep with live wires floating like eels. Jesus Christ. Since Howard's incarceration, Parchment has violated the Safe Water Drinking Act over 100 times for excess amounts of dangerous bacteria such as coliform, and for routinely having radiologicals in the water such as uranium and radium. Jesus Christ, radium 226. Additionally, the COVID-19 pandemic has rapidly spread through the Mississippi prisons, with 87 inmates testing positive at Parchment for the virus as of late December 2020. Since 2014, Mississippi has cut funding to the prison's Department of Corrections by $215 million. Howard was given no after being in On death row for a quarter century, he was given no mental health counseling or vocational or educational training. Many of these folks on death row are decompensating during the years that they're appealing their cases until their execution. Per Mississippi state law, inmates on death row are not allowed contact visits or group recreation, and they spend a minimum of 22 hours every day in solitary cells. Physical exercise is slightly regimented, and when it is allowed, prisoners exercise individually for 26 years. The only tangible long-term social interaction Howard had was with his two neighboring inmates. As of October 2020, more than half of Mississippi's death row inmates were black. A 2003 University of UC Santa Cruz study determined that nearly half of the inmates housed in solitary confinement suffered from perception disorders, hallucinations, or suicidal thoughts. An additional study found that one in every three solitary confinement inmates developed severe mental illness. Representative Karim told the Mississippi Free Press for people living in these conditions, it was just inhumane. He noted that the conditions at Parchment were so bad, I had to leave the group to say a little prayer and pray for the people who were incarcerated. But I also prayed for Mississippi because I know we can do a lot better than what we're doing in our criminal justice system. Carrington said Howard, who is not giving any interviews, has essentially been cut off from family and friends and the rest of the world for 3 decades. You can imagine what it's like to try and successfully integrate into the free world after you've been institutionalized in that way. In addition, Howard's isolation from the outside world and his circles, He left prison with nothing: no clothes, no money, no place to sleep, nothing to restart with. I know because again, whoever you was with, your mama, your girl, your homies. I mean, your mama might be dead. You come back, your mama might be gone. Your girl that moved on because she thought you was doing life. You don't got no kids. If you did, your kids is grown and moved on to a whole nother dad. Your brother might be going out the state. Your brother might be dead. You ain't got no sister. You ain't got no sister. That's crazy. Your homies, they struggling. Can't nobody help you out. You just got out of jail in the pandemic. So one way for Howard to begin reacclimation was to the free world was through Mississippi's compensation statute for wrongful imprisonment. Under the law, people who have been wrongly imprisoned can petition the state for up to $50,000 for each year they were incarcerated. Wow, up to $500,000 in total. Professor Carrington believed that Howard would qualify for that compensation. Hell yeah. Testimony from Dr. Michael West has sent at least 7 innocent people from prison, which they have had spent over 75 years in total in prison. Recently, calls have arisen for Dr. West to face trial in order to be potentially held accountable for his incorrect testimonies. Ooh. Dr. Michael West cannot be reached for comment. Carrington said witnesses like West have qualified immunity for their testimonies they provided in the court. Because of this, in order for the court to convict Dr. West, prosecutors would have to clearly show that Dr. West, who died in 2020, acted with blatant malice, which in this case would mean you would have to show that they were making the bite mark evidence up, and that they did that knowing that they were making it up. It's also impossible because you would have to have Dr. West here, and he's dead. That's pretty crazy. My boy John McGee wrote this story. I ain't gonna lie. John, you wrote a good ass story, my boy. It looked like I wouldn't trust you if I had to. Okay. On this day in Black History, we're gonna read a little bit, and then we're gonna say our prayer. We're gonna get up out of here, get some food, and take a shower. Okay, happy birthday, W.E.B. Du Bois. William Edward Burghardt Du Bois. Du Bois. Who the world will become to know as W.E.B. Du Bois. Was born in Barrington, Massachusetts, where he lived until heading off to attend college at Fisk University in Nashville, Tennessee. Du Bois' experiences in college opened his eyes to the severity of racial discrimination in the South. After graduating from Fisk, he returned to the North to attend Harvard University, where he earned a doctorate in 1895. That's amazing. The first African American to do so. In one of his first published essays in 1903, The Negro Problem, Du Bois wrote about the talented 10 elite African Americans who provided leadership for other African American communities. Du Bois would go on to write a slew of books and essays. On August 27th, 1963, at the age of 95, he died in Accra, Ghana, one day before Martin Luther King Jr. delivered his famous I Have a Dream speech at the March on Washington. That's crazy. So he probably had that on his mind, like on his vibes when he gave that speech. Shout out to, you feel me, William Edward Du Bois. Uh, Louis Stokes is born politician. Louis Stokes was born to Charles and Louis Stokes in Cleveland, Ohio, baby. After the death of her husband, Louise Stokes spent her time cleaning houses to make ends meet while raising Louis and his younger brother Carl with his mother's help. The Stokes began a 3-year stint in the U.S. Army in 1943, which ended with his honorable discharge. Stokes returned home. Shout out to that veteran of World War II as well, where he attended Cleveland College of Western Reserve University and earned a law degree from Cleveland's Marshall University. In 1968, Stokes made his first run for office, which began a decades-long political career as a member of the U.S. House of Representatives. Wow. In 1929, Elston Jean. Elston Jean was the catcher, you feel me? Somebody, I think. Excuse me. Baseball catcher Elston Jean Howard was born to Emmeline Webb. Hey, that's my auntie. My last name Webb, so y'all know that. Howard led an active life as a child, but it wasn't until his teenage years that he was taken seriously as an athlete. While playing baseball, Howard was approached by Frank Timmons Edwards, a former Negro leaguer and St. Louis Braves staff member. After persuading his mother, to let him go. Howard played with the Braves over the summer. It was the beginning of many trials and roster spots with various teams. In 1965, Howard signed a $70,000 contract with the New York Yankees and became the highest paid player um, in the history of baseball at the time. 1965, wow, 70 racks. My boy ramped it up for real. Constance Baker Motley was elected Manhattan Borough President on this date in 1965. Constance Baker Motley, you feel me, was a civil rights lawyer who became involved with the movement after being discriminated against while attempting to enter a public library, and they weren't even trying to let niggas read books. Fisk University. Motley began her studies at Fisk University, then New York NYU, before earning her law degree at the Columbia University Law School in 1946. In 1964, Motley became the first black woman elected to the New York Senate. Motley broke barriers once more after being elected when she became the first female president of the Manhattan Borough the following year, and that's crazy because I mean, granted, she different than AOC, but nah, she was in the New York Senate. So I think AOC is a New York Senate, is a senator from New York or a representative in some way. So she for sure was breaking ground for AOC too. That's crazy as a motherfucker, man. Y'all gotta fuck with me, man. Come on, I'm just doing this on my own. You ain't got nobody in this toe with me yet. Come on, I'm just kind of like, her and AOC has something they got in common. And let's see, that's it. Okay, it's the last one. Frank E. Patterson Jr. is named the first black general of the Marine Corps. Wow. Frank E. Patterson Jr. was determined to serve his country despite racial discrimination. Peterson attended school in Topeka, Kansas, before attempting to join the U.S. Navy. And in his first attempt, Peterson was asked to take an entrance exam over again because administrators believed he had cheated, which means that motherfucker passed that shit and whooped all them white boys' ass. Them bitch ass white boys was in there motherfucking hating and tripping, and motherfuckers gotta stop that shit. Because there ain't no way that still on this earth, still on this day, certain people can just get by just by pulling up, and others got to come in and do the extras. And then even when they do the extras, they want you to do something a little less than what you came here looking to do, or prove to them that you really did do that, or act a motherfucker. Man, anyway, you feel me? 2 years after the desegregation of the armed forces, Peterson enlisted in the Navy. 2 years later, Peterson, now a Marine, completed flight school and was commissioned as a second lieutenant. Peterson also became the Marines' first black aviator. Wow. Shout out to the Tuskegee Airmen and all of them. You feel me? From there, the sky was the limit for Peterson. In 1975, he became the first black Marine general officer, served as the commanding general for the Marine Corps Combat Development Command, and in 1988, he retired as the first black three-star lieutenant general. Peterson died on August 25th, 2015, of lung cancer. He was 83. I gotta work on that a little bit. WEB2. Boy. Okay, so seemed like this was today. It seemed like today was a light day in Black History. Seemed like there's some monumental motherfuckers. No bow. Jeez. Okay, we could also talk about some people that were just born, people that existed. It was kind of hard. It do seem hard because Liberia was crazy. Liberia was the first go back to Africa, established uh, country, and you know how it go. They did what they needed to do to turn Liberia into what Liberia would be as if you Googled it. But William H. Hurd, February 23, 1895, that was the day he was born, excuse me. But he was an AME minister, an educator, and he was named the minister of Liberia. It's pretty interesting. At one point. It's a lot of pictures of WB walking. Yeah. Today was like day in Black History. You feel me? So, our here on this motherfucking Tuesday, I wanted to get on here and hit on here one time. You feel me? Travel a little bit. We read an article today. We learned a little bit about, you feel me, what is it? Malpractice is what I forgot. Ethics. You feel me? These folks out here with these fucked up ethics, man. Protecting and serving, they be putting their hand on the Bible, they do all this stuff they be supposed to do, they supposed to be holding it down, they out here doing fuck shit. That shit's crazy. But still we rise. You feel me? So I'll holler at y'all, man. We just gonna send it up to the universe, man. God, universe, all of those that love us, reaching wrap around us. I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to continue to lift up and express positivity and love. Thank you for the opportunity to open our eyes, and give us an opportunity to share and read some of these very interesting stories and to learn a little bit more about the world that we live in. You feel me? And we just want to say love and positivity to everybody on their journey as we walk the same road, different paths of the same road. You feel me? Let us all have the strength to continue to walk when we tired, and allow our abilities and powers to help and benefit others and not to shine on those around us. You feel me? With malice and flex, but to shine and lead the way for them to find themselves. And so, we just gonna send that up to the universe. Thank you. Shout out y'all. Happy Tuesday. You feel me? Um, call God so he ain't gotta call you. You feel me? And it's Dream City to the death of me.